Or no, it's never mind.
All right. How you doing? This is John coming back to you finally with Backyard Barbecuing with John. Today we're going to talk about steak, and if you'll see here in front of me is a whole rib roast, and I actually hand carved those myself. And the reason, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and that's why I'm showing it to you in this form, is I didn't know how to carve a rib roast. And I think a lot of times people, when they don't know how to do something, there's a tendency to just not do it. But in this era with YouTube, you can literally learn how to do and how to cook almost anything. And so literally, a few months ago when I started doing this, I went to YouTube and I watched a couple videos on how to carve a rib roast, and then how to carve individual steaks. I like my steaks super thick. And the nice thing is, if you have a company, you can go to Restaurant Depot, and then you can get the actual meat at wholesale prices, which in this case, this of Angus, which is what I prefer to buy, you can get it for $2, $3, sometimes even $4 cheaper a pound if you can buy the whole piece without the labor included to carve the meat. So tonight we're going to be talking steak. I've already cut it, kind of trimmed it a little bit. And I actually took out a whole rib roast. Look at all that beautiful fat and marbling in there. And then I'm actually going to carve the individual steaks. And then I'm going to show you how I do my steaks. I know we've done the reverse sear before, so we're going to do a little bit of reverse sear. But then I'm also going to show you the charcoal grill. I'm real big with doing any kind of meat. If possible, if you're not in a massive hurry, charcoal is the way to go. And then I also have some tricks of the trade, even if you're in a hurry, where you can do it just as fast as gas. I know that's hard to believe, but there's some things out there that can make your charcoal light really, really quick that isn't toxic with, like, lighter fluid and that kind of thing. And I'll show you those in just a minute, but I wanted to show you the carved roast. That's where we go, and then I'm going to carve the individual steaks. And the big thing I want you to learn here today is, if you don't know how to do something, that's okay. Go to YouTube, learn how to do it, make some mistakes in the process. That's all right. And I promise your family and your friends will be grateful that you're willing to take the risk. I'll be back in just a minute to show you outside of the charcoal grill. Okay, real quick, I just wanted to show you my seasoning. And this is always what I use. I use olive oil first, then heavily salt. My salt's right here. I use kosher salt, which is what I prefer. Then I put my garlic and onion powder on. Montreal steak seasoning, which I love. That stuff's amazing. I think that's by McCormick. They don't pay me to say that. And then I pepper again. And then the other thing I do, which I think is really important when it comes to these steaks, let me see if I can turn the camera around here. Hold on. The other thing I do, which is really important with these steaks, is once I season them, I let them rest. And that can be anywhere from half hour to an hour, depending on what it takes to get them up to room temperature. But I do season them first, and the reason I season them first is that salt particularly helps it create a really nice layer of crust on the steak when you sear it. And so having that layer of salt on there and letting it come up to room temperature, it creates this incredible crust. I'm sure there's some great scientific way to say that, but it really makes it a really, really good steak. And particularly when you're doing steaks like this, big thick ones, these are about 1 inch a piece. I'm cooking for Big Pace. It's his birthday over here. And Big Sean there, the big football player, guys. I cut them really thick. So don't be afraid to use a lot of salt. It seems almost like you're using too much, but because it's such a big piece of meat, you really need a good bit of salt in there to make it great. All right, next up, the fire. Okay, as I mentioned before, I had a secret way to get the charcoal to act like it's as good as gas. And so one of the things we use is a chimney. And what we do is you take some paper, newspaper, and put a little bit of vegetable oil on there to spray. It kind of acts like a wick on a candle. Spray it on there, and you light these so you don't have to use that nasty lighter fluid. And then my ultimate secret weapon is right here. This is called the Barbecue Dragon. And basically what this does, it actually fits right inside the Barbecue Dragon chimney. Turn around here right there. And it goes in here like this, just like that. And then what you do is you turn it on. Hopefully it's got some batteries in it. and it acts, and it's just basically a blower that gives oxygen to that fire and makes that fire go real quick, and it heats up a lot faster. And I think it's as quick as, it's important in these situations when you're using like a gas grill, or charcoal. We're always in a hurry, right? And so to do a good steak, I really think you need charcoal. You can have debates about that, but I just do think it makes it more moist and tender and makes it incredible. So I use the barbecue dragon. I'll start it on the one, get it going real good, then I'll start it on the other. And obviously we got the Traeger going here to get it started to do our reverse sear. I like the charcoal to be nice and white, no flame to it, so it's nice and hot to do that sear. So that's one of the tricks of the trade, is to use the barbecue dragon and the chimneys. And sounds like it might need some new batteries, but I'll show you the steaks here in just a minute, let you see how I sear them. And then the piece de la resistance is, didn't say that right, but is to actually take and put a piece of butter right on top of the steak. That's a secret, restaurant secret, right on top of the steak as soon as it's done. And that little layer of fat, man, it just makes the steak. So we'll do that in just a minute once we get them nice and hot and seared. All right, I just wanted to show you the grill now that it's cranking. We got some new batteries in the barbecue dragon. Helps if you test your equipment before you do videos, right? So here it is now that it's cranking. And you can see, you got that orange there. It's only been on a couple minutes, and that's about the same time you need to do your grill. So it does really make it just as fast as propane. And of course I use lump charcoal. Not opposed to Weber at all, or excuse me, Kingsford. Kingsford's great if that's what you have. I like using lump if it's available, and I use my Weber kettle to do most of my cooking with charcoal. They're great grills. This one's been around forever. I have one that's the series number 2. It's a red one. It's actually way over there. I don't know if you can see it in the distance there, but that one's it's even got the old wood handles on it and everything, but it's kind of in retirement. So I need a little more space on this one. So anyway, I'll show you the steaks. They're getting ready to go on the Traeger. See, we got them in there, getting our reverse sear on. And of course, if you know cooking backyard grilling with John, we have to have our thermometer. There's our ThermoPros, and they're nice and going. And always use a thermometer when you're cooking meat. Don't guess. Nobody likes a overdone steak. I always tell my son JT, you ask people what they want on their steak, how they want their steak done, and no one gets past medium rare. They say well done. You say great. And then they get medium rare. If they don't like it, they can always stick it in the microwave. Because why destroy a great piece of meat and cook it over medium rare? All right, be back in just a minute to show you the sear and our famous restaurant secret, the butter. Just thought I'd show you real quick how hot I like my coals before I do a sear. You can see there's almost no black at all in there. It's very, very hot. I wish I had one of those digital, thermometers that I could shoot the temp, but it is hot. So anyway, I just want to show you guys real quick how hot I like it. And here we have the finished product of our steaks. We've got our butter on there, notice, and all cooked to a nice medium rare, except for Alex's. It is his birthday, so he got one medium well, believe it or not. The cow is definitely way dead, but super excited to celebrate Alex's birthday. And that's our video, Backyard Barbecuing with John. That's our video, Backyard Barbecuing with John. Thanks for joining in and tuning in, and make sure you post, share, and share the video, and make sure you write comments. If you have a Backyard Barbecue with John that you'd like to have done, make sure you leave it in the comments. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks again. Appreciate you stopping by John's Barbecue and Catering.